coming home, I'm coming home. Tell the world I'm coming.
Welcome back to Wilso Productions. I am back in 2019 with another production in the form of a movie review. So as you guys know, I want to bring out more videos, so 2019 is going to be a bit of a change. So movie reviews are staying, so I wanted to review this movie because I just love DC movies, so you know, this is why this is getting done. So another little bit of history. DC haven't had the best start to their cinematic universe, unlike Marvel. Marvel have done really well and performed successfully in their cinematic universe. And Man of Steel was mixed, but many people love it. I like the style of it as just as a Superman movie, the look of it sometimes, but I felt like it could have been done better in some regards. I felt it was a bit dark for a Superman movie. I think Superman's one of those characters that needs to be a bit brighter. Batman vs Superman, I love that movie, but I hated it at the same time because it could have done so much better. Suicide Squad again was the same, but I felt there was some really good parts of that movie. It just made it fun, and I enjoyed it if you just want to just sit down and watch something mindless and fun. Wonder Woman, however, was a really good origin film. It did really well. It surprised a lot of audiences, and it surprised a lot of DC executives that didn't really think it would do as good. Patty Jenkins did a really good job directing that movie. Some of the action was really well done, but I felt like sometimes at the end of the movie that it kind of lacked a bit. That ending kind of just dropped a bit with the final fight between Ares and Wonder Woman. And then lastly, Justice League was a combination of just characters that are acting not the way they're supposed to be in the film, to plot devices being used in order to bring a character back, and also just a combination of a clash of styles, which from Joss Whedon's style to Zack Snyder's style doesn't work. Those two styles are completely different. One being using a lot of dark tones in his film and a lot of action sequences, to a guy who's a bit more laid back and kind of a bit more colourful and kind of just exposing the character true identity. So, you know, it was hard because there was two different directors on it, because Zack Snyder had to go halfway through the film. Aquaman is a movie that I wanted to review today. So this movie was directed by James Wan, who has done The Conjuring and Saw, amongst many other films, but I couldn't really remember off the top of my head what other films he's done. Jason Momoa reprises his role as Aquaman along with Amber Heard, who reprises her role as Mira. There's many other great people as well. Dolph Lundgren's in the film as one of the kings of the Seven Kingdoms. Yaha Abdul Mateen, I think his name is, portrays Black Manta in this film, and then Patrick Wilson portrays Ocean Master in this film, as well as Aquaman's brother. So this film does a really good job of CGI. Like, if you're just basing off this film just on CGI, I think it really surprises you that it does a really good job of how well designed these characters are in some of these scenes. Like, the water effects look really cool. So it looked really interesting at times when they're swimming around, and you know, at times when the hair would be flowing in the water, and just the way they would talk in the movie, like how you would kind of imagine yourself talking while you're underwater. So yeah, if I was basing it on effects, the movie would get a 10 out of 10. But I've got to judge it on other things as well. The action itself is really good. Aquaman does a really good job of action sequences. So, like, there's at times where action sequences happen, and it blows your mind at how really well done it is. Because you would imagine that a movie underwater, the action would be a bit interesting on how can you make underwater fights seem interesting. But in Aquaman, they seem to do really well. The acting by Jason Momoa is done really well. He portrays a really good Aquaman in this film, along with Amber Heard, who portrays Mira, as really good as well. So it kind of just engages you in those two characters. Not in the chemistry between the two, though. I felt the chemistry between Amber Heard and Jason Momoa wasn't as good. that's just my personal opinion. Just from watching the film, I just thought I can't really buy these two as a couple because there just doesn't seem like the chemistry was there at times. It was a bit awkward. It's like they could have shot some of those moments between the two just a bit better. But nonetheless, though, that was a few complaints that I had about the movie, and the fact that some of the sequences, like in the movie, like just when they're going from scene to scene, it's a bit fast paced in that way. It's like we are here, now we are there, now we are here, now we are there, now we keep going this way for a while, and now we're going to go back over here because we've got to do some other stuff over here, and now we're going to go to here finally. So it's a lot of moving. It's a lot of moving, and it's a long film. This film is quite long for its runtime. Some people would argue it's too long. Personally, for me, I didn't really think it was too long. I'd prefer a film be long and explain a few more things than be like Batman vs Superman and try and cut it short and not explain a few things, and it kind of fucks the film up. So if you take that into mind, that's why I don't really care about runtime being longer. The movie itself does a really good job at telling a good story sometimes. Sometimes it doesn't tell a good story at all. There was a really good scene between Black Manta and Aquaman that I just personally love myself. And why they didn't go and just have Black Manta just be the main villain of the film, I don't know why. It seemed like he was destined to be the main villain for this film. And well, kind of not really. When you think about it, once you've seen what happens to him, he's not really a villain afterwards. He's more classified as this other kind of secondary sort of villain. But nonetheless, I still enjoyed his character. Nonetheless, though, guys, the other things I thought that were a bit out of place was just the music itself. It just seemed a bit out of place. Like, I don't know. There was like this remix version of Africa Toto that I felt like was kind of a bit out of place. There was some cool ones. Like, there was like one they did of an Aquaman theme that I kind of liked it for what it was. So, you know, it is cool. The movie itself is a good film. Is it like terrible like Justice League? No way. Like in Justice League, where it did really terrible at telling a plot story, whereas Aquaman kind of thrives on it. It does it really well at telling a story. You might get a little bit annoyed with the runtime, but I personally didn't care about it. Like, again, I'm repeating it, so I digress. Nonetheless, though, guys, it tells a really good story. I believe that the characters in this movie do a good job of portraying their characters. I'm actually more excited for a second Aquaman film. I felt this was a good start, but I'm more interested to see what happens next. And I hope that with the success of Aquaman, that they just decide to make another one. And they're like, well, let's make another one, and this time let's hope just Black Manta's the main villain for the whole film, because it would be just a better story told, I believe, because he's just a destined villain for Aquaman. And like, you know, I love Black Manta. His suit was really cool design, so was Ocean Master's. And even Aquaman's revised suit is really cool too. And they actually designed it really well, and he actually looks quite decent in the suit. It makes him look really badass, along with the golden tribe. So for Aquaman, I am going to give this film an 8 out of 10. I personally enjoyed it. I didn't see too much problems with the film. I just had problems with some of the characters, the way they acted with each other, like the chemistry between Jason Momoa and Amber Heard's characters. I just didn't really buy into it. Some of the just sequences and how they are done, I just feel like James Wan, if he decides to do the sequel, needs to kind of fix those up and just, like, you know, polish them up better. Make a better scene between, like, you know, just how you're going to do things. It's like, I personally thought, if you're going to do a really good scene with Black Manta and Aquaman, you should just go with Black Manta as your main villain, because, you know, he was destined for it. He had the motive to hate Aquaman. Nonetheless, though, guys, I'm going to leave it there. I hope you enjoy this movie review. If you do, hit that like button, and if you don't want to, hit that dislike button. Also, if you want to subscribe for more weekly content, please do. I'm going to try and do one video a week just to kind of keep in touch with you guys, whether it's a movie review, whether it's just a discussion, whether it's a skit, whether it's something else, me just talking about random shit. I hope to do this more with you guys. Anyway, I hope you take care, and I'll catch you soon. See you guys. Bye.